Detroit. Can you feel it? Because the rest of the country already does. What started as a distant dream is now reality. Every Sunday, every snap, every hit, the Lions are proving this isn't luck. It's built, brick by brick, sweat, pain, and redemption. They laughed, they doubted, they called it potential. But now the team nobody took seriously is sitting at the top of the power rankings, at the center of every NFL conversation, and about to face the ultimate test: Sunday Night Football against the defending champs. So, Motor City fans, do you believe? Because this is the moment to show it. Smash that like button if you feel the same pride pulsing through Detroit. And drop a comment below, "I always believed," if you've never given up on this team. Or tell us, when did you realize that this Lions team is different? Buckle up, because what's coming next might just be the beginning of something legendary. One pride, Detroit versus everybody. Something's happening in Detroit, something that even the national media can't ignore anymore. A month ago, they were the underdogs, the team with potential. But now, the Detroit Lions are sitting at 4-1, riding a 4-game win streak and climbing to the very top of nearly every power ranking in the country. ESPN has them at number 1. Colin Cowherd has them at number 1. The word is out. This isn't hype anymore. This is dominance built brick by brick under Dan Campbell's watch. And as they head into a Sunday night clash with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, the football world is about to find out if the Motor City's revival is truly complete. Think about it. Number 1 in scoring offense, 2nd in the league in sacks, 3rd in takeaways. A team once searching for an identity has now found it in grit, depth, and absolute buy-in from top to bottom. Remember when everyone questioned the pass rush beyond Aiden Hutchinson? Those days are over. Al-Quadin Muhammad is flying off the edge, Trevor Nowaski's making his presence felt, and suddenly the same defense that used to be a liability is dictating games. They're swarming quarterbacks, forcing turnovers, and setting up the offense with short fields. The perfect formula for a team that's learned how to win ugly and finish strong. And that's exactly what this run has been about: finishing. Jared Goff, calm and poised, is taking care of the football. The offensive line, even while battling injuries, continues to protect him and open lanes. The Lions have become one of the most well-coached teams in the NFL, a reflection of a staff that's been rebuilt and refined. Look at what Scotty Montgomery has done transitioning from running backs to receivers coach. His group blocks downfield like a pack of offensive linemen. Look at how Hank Fraley has kept that O-line cohesive through injuries. These are the details that separate a good team from a great one. And make no mistake, this coaching staff has been through turnover. Ben Johnson gone, Aaron Glenn gone, and yet the system hasn't fallen apart.
It's evolved. Rookie coordinators like Kelvin Shepard have stepped in. John Morton is calling plays at the NFL level again for the first time since 2017, and still, this unit is disciplined, physical, and prepared. That didn't happen overnight. Dan Campbell's leadership has turned this locker room into something rare in today's league, a culture that believes in each other. You could see it after week 1, that early stumble, that ugly start. Every part of the organization took responsibility. Since then, it's been 4 straight wins, each one more convincing than the last. They're not just scoring, they're controlling games. The defense is giving them short fields. The offense is finishing drives. And it's not just the stars. Depth has become Detroit's secret weapon. When linebacker injuries pile up, guys like Zach Cunningham step in and perform. When the secondary takes hits, and they've taken plenty, the front 7 compensates by collapsing the pocket faster than ever. And that's going to matter this Sunday, because the test ahead isn't small, it's the Chiefs in prime time. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, the defending AFC champions. But here's the thing, this isn't the same Detroit team that would have flinched at that challenge 2 years ago. They're going into Arrowhead as contenders, not spectators. Sure, Kansas City opens as a small favorite, but even Vegas can feel it. This one's different. The roster moves this week made it clear just how focused this organization is. Khalil Dorsey to injured reserve with a wrist injury. That hurts, especially with the cornerback depth already thin. DJ Reed and Terrion Arnold are out, but Detroit wasted no time signing Arthur Maulet, the veteran nickel corner who spent the last 2 years in Baltimore. Maulet's experience and toughness could be crucial. At 32 years old, he's been through it, from the Saints to the Ravens, and he knows what it takes to survive in big moments. And he's not the only familiar face returning. Dan Skipper is back, the fan-favorite tackle, number 70, the man who's been through more roster cuts and comebacks than most players see in a decade, is officially on the active roster again. With Taylor Decker battling a sore shoulder and rookie Giovanni Manu struggling in protection last week, Skipper could be thrust right back into the starting lineup. Against a front that includes Chris Jones, the Chiefs' relentless all-pro pass rusher, Detroit will need all the help they can get on the edge. Skipper might not be flashy, but he's reliable, and reliability wins in games like these. Decker's status remains uncertain. The veteran told Dave Burkett from the Free Press that he's close to returning, but the staff is being cautious. They've seen what happens when you rush guys back too soon. Decker's leadership and his voice matter just as much as his play. He's been here the longest, a captain, a steadying presence through every rebuild and heartbreak. When he's on that field, the line plays with confidence. And then there's the biggest concern right now, Amon-Ra St. Brown. The heart of Detroit's offense didn't practice Wednesday after injuring his wrist in Cincinnati. No one questions his toughness. We've seen him play through worse, but his availability for Sunday is still uncertain. It's hard to overstate what he means to this team. 3rd and 8? You know where the ball's going. 2nd and long? He's the bailout. He's not 6 feet 3 inches. He's not a first rounder, but he's as reliable as they come, a technician who's turned precision and grit into superstardom. You could talk about Justin Jefferson, Ja'Marr Chase. St. Brown belongs in that conversation. Detroit needs him on the field. Behind all of this, there's Dan Campbell, steady, fiery, and real. This week, rookie corner Terrion Arnold opened up about his shoulder injury and the support he's received from his head coach. Campbell's been there every step of the way, checking in, talking through doctor visits, keeping the communication personal. That's leadership. That's the kind of connection that turns teams into families. And in a league where so many coaches are just X's and O's, Campbell's authenticity stands out. Players respect him because he respects them. So here we are, 5 weeks in, and the Detroit Lions are the #1 team in football. You read that right. The #1 team. Not just by fan opinion, but across major national rankings. ESPN, FS1. Everyone's talking about Detroit. It's the kind of moment this city has been waiting decades for. But the real question, and the one only Sunday night can answer, is whether this team is built to stay on top. Because being #1 in October doesn't make you a champion. Being Mahomes in his house under the lights, that sends a message the whole league will hear. Now it's your turn, Lions fans. What do you think? Are the Lions truly the best team in the NFL right now? Or is the biggest test still ahead? Drop your thoughts below. And while you think about that question, let's dig even deeper into what's fueling this rise. Because this isn't just a hot streak. This feels like a cultural shift, the kind that turns a franchise's history on its head. When you look at the DNA of this 4-1 Lions team, it's not about flash. It's about foundation. Every stat, every drive, every sideline moment shows a team that's matured into something legitimate. Let's start with Jared Goff. He's not the quarterback who arrived in Detroit with a chip on his shoulder and questions hanging over his head anymore. He's the steady heartbeat of this offense, reading the field better than ever, leading huddles with command, and showing a level of composure that trickles down through the entire locker room. Sure, he took a strip sack last week. It happens. But outside of that, he's been almost flawless. Minimal turnovers, smart decisions, efficient execution. The Lions are taking care of the football, and in this league, that's everything. It's not lost on anyone that Goff's resurgence mirrors this team's. For years, Detroit was desperate for identity. They chased flash. They chased big names. But now, they're winning with discipline, coaching, and unity. It's not sexy, but it's sustainable. You can see it on every down. Wideouts blocking like linemen sprinting downfield to protect their running backs, defensive backs crashing into tackles like their careers depend on it. That's culture. That's buy-in. And that's why this version of the Lions is terrifying for the rest of the league. Now, let's talk defense. Because this group is no longer the weak link, they're the engine. 2nd in sacks, 3rd in takeaways. That's not luck. That's a reflection of relentless effort and detail. Defensive line coach John Scott Jr. has these guys tuned up and aggressive, collapsing pockets and forcing quarterbacks into mistakes. And it's not just the stars, the rotation is deep. Players like Trevor Nowaski and Al-Quadin Muhammad aren't just filling space, they're making plays. This defense has become unpredictable. 1 week it's pressure from the edges, the next it's linebackers jumping passing lanes. Speaking of linebackers, one of the biggest storylines this week came from Alex Anzalone, a captain whose play has been so consistent that fans are starting to realize just how underrated he's been. He got a small bump in his contract, $250,000 in salary, plus $750,000 in incentives, all based on playing time, not stats. And that says everything about who he is. The team knows his value. They know how much he means in the locker room and on the field. No drama, no ego, just production. And when fans called into local shows asking whether he'd get more money for his interception last week, the truth came out. He's not chasing bonuses. He's chasing wins. And that mindset is spreading. From rookies like Terrion Arnold, who praised Dan Campbell this week for being there every step of the way during his injury, to veterans like Taylor Decker and Frank Ragnow, who continue to lead through pain. This locker room has one language: accountability. No one hides. No one deflects. They all show up, tape up, and go again. That's why even when the cornerback room took another hit with Khalil Dorsey landing on IR and Terrion Arnold sidelined, no one panicked. Instead, the front office acted fast, signing Arthur Maulet to the practice squad, a seasoned, battle-tested nickel who spent years in Baltimore's aggressive defense. That kind of move doesn't grab headlines, but it's exactly how good teams stay good. They prepare before the crisis hits. Maulet might not even suit up Sunday, but his experience instantly raises the floor in that room. The injuries are piling up. Yes, Dorsey, Decker, Amon-Ra, but this team isn't making excuses. The next man up mentality isn't just talk anymore, it's a habit. Dan Skipper's return to the active roster proves that. The fan-favorite lineman has been through it all: cut, re-signed, injured, and now back again. And with the offensive line needing reinforcements, his timing couldn't be better. Whether or not he starts Sunday night, Skipper represents what the Lions are about: resilience. And speaking of Sunday night, you can feel what this game means. The Chiefs might not look as invincible as they did in recent years, but they're still the gold standard. Mahomes, Kelsey, Chris Jones, these are the kinds of players that test your discipline, your mental toughness, your poise. And this Lions team, they've earned the right to take that test. Dan Campbell has said it all along: this is a team that needs to bite a kneecap and keep fighting. But now, it's more than a motto. It's who they are. Every mistake becomes a lesson, every challenge a chance to prove they belong. And in 5 short weeks,